Looking at these chairs is like traveling through time. They're all our Nags Head Hammocks oak bar stools. The first one here is actually practically brand new out of the box. On the other end of the spectrum, we found a chair that's been outside in full sunlight for what we can estimate at least 7 years. Somewhere in between these two extremes is a bar stool we're going to refinish today. It's been outside in partial sunlight for about 4 years. You'll notice some significant surface wear, particularly in the arms and footrests. Routinely finishing your furniture will help your furniture look more like this instead of this. The first step to refinishing furniture is to always get it as clean as possible. Hose the whole thing down, then use a heavily diluted bleach and water solution and a rag to thoroughly clean all surfaces of your furniture. Here's what we'll need to refinish our chair. Some clear gloss spar urethane for maximum sun protection. To apply the stain, you'll need a large brush for broad surfaces and a smaller brush for tighter sections. Very fine 220 grit sandpaper and 120 grit medium sandpaper. We used a screwdriver to remove one piece of the wood from the bar stool, allowing us to move the rope seat one way while we were sanding and finishing. You may want other tools depending on the furniture you're working with. If really worn out, you'll probably want to completely disassemble the furniture you're working on before you begin. Plastic gloves are a great idea, especially if you're inexperienced. Polyurethane getting on your skin, very tough to remove. Now let's throw it over to Alex, a guy who's built these chairs and knows them as well as anyone on the planet. He'll take us through step 2.
You're going to want to take your coarser sandpaper and start on the first section. So that's the arms here. You're just going to come by. Once you've got it sanded to about the thickness you want to wipe it down. You can use your finer one to go around the edges or spots that don't need as much attention. You're just going to go around your whole product like this, getting the worst spots of it because you want to get it all sanded so you can do your first coat of polyurethaning. Places like the footrest that see the most sun and the most wear, you may need to go down and actually do a partial refinishing on all this, just sanding all the way down to the wood. This is also where you're going to want to put an extra coat of polyurethane because not only does it receive a lot of sun damage, it also receives a lot of wear from your feet. Now again, we've gone ahead and sanded this down so we can do our touch-up. And for these larger sections, we're going to use a large brush, and then for the smaller sections, we're going to use a much thinner brush. You want to make just even brushes along this. This will dry. We'll do a light sanding on it and apply a second coat. Some nice, even brush strokes following the grain. It's alright if it doesn't dry completely smooth, because again, we're going to do a light sanding on it, and then we're going to do a second coat. Depending on how much sun it gets and how often you want to do this, decides on exactly how many coats you want to put down. I personally recommend at least 2 to 3 coats a year, especially if it's going into the sun. If you're going to leave it out all year, if you live in one of those nice places where you can be out all year with good sun, you may want to put a couple more coats down. Our first coat of polyurethane is complete. The chair is nice and smooth, so it's ready to start our second coat. Push this over and get the first coat underneath the ropes. Now you may look at it here and think it's done, or want it to be done, but you don't want to leave it like this. One coat may look nice, but it's not going to last the whole length, so you want to put another 2 to 3 coats on to give it full protection through at least a year. And again, if you're in a shady spot, that may last you multiple years. What we're going to do first is take some very fine grit sandpaper and just lightly sand just to break the surface tension, to work out any sort of bubbles you see in the polyurethane. This is going to give the next layer of polyurethane a better grip on it. You don't have to do a whole lot, just wipe it down as you go. Again, the whole purpose isn't to resand it, just to break the tension on the layer that's currently there so the next layer adheres better, and to work out any bubbles or imperfections you see in the first coat. If you're going in a full sun environment, more coats are better. If you're going in a partial sun environment, you know, get a good amount of it down, and you probably won't need to do it again for another couple of years.
So now we're going to do some minor sanding again and apply our third and final coat. Let that dry overnight and you should be good to go. As you can see, our finished product has received a major facelift. It's basically indistinguishable from a brand new chair in pristine condition. So remember to reapply at least every couple of years so that your outdoor furniture doesn't end up looking like this. To see more of the products we build and test at Nags Hammocks, visit our website at nagshammocks.com.